Okay, Rex, you can start now.
Okay. So, good morning, dear learners. Today we are going into the second block of our research uh, paper, that is philosophical foundation of social research, which are very fundamental while studying the research in social sciences. Uh, when we talk about the philosophical foundation of social research, we are in this block we are going to understand how and why the philosophical thought process is necessary to build our research uh, problems, or how am I going to define the research problem or my research area by taking into the consideration of the philosophical thought process. When you say philosophy, it is in another term, it is also considered as a theory. It is also considered as the previous fact or considered as a previous knowledge, how I need to take and why I have to take and what is the necessity of that to study or to consider those into my research area. So, dear learners, we discuss, we will raise questions, and we will collaboratively learn how this uh, philosophical foundation going to help us in conducting our research. When you introduce about this, the philosophical foundation in social sciences explores uh, the the need of research. Okay, why I need to study, and the another area is the epistemology. That is means the study of knowledge. Okay, I am going to study the problem in order to build the knowledge on the particular problem. If I want to study the uh, transformation that is happening in the family from joint family to nuclear family or some extent, if at all that is my study, I am going to develop the knowledge on a particular area. In order to develop the knowledge on the particular area through my research, then that particular concept is called epistemology. So any research in matter, it is going to develop the knowledge. It is going to build the knowledge. It is going to add knowledge on the existing theory or the existing fact, right? It is not only going to disprove, it is also going to add knowledge. It is not necessary always that we are going to give a new knowledge in social science, not necessarily, but it will also help us to add knowledge on that, right? And ontology means that it is going to study of reality. What is existing? What is going on, right? So when you say about the philosophical foundation, it is also speaks about the reality that is going on in the particular problem, right? If you want to study in the area of diaspora community, what is the reality? What is the condition, the living condition of people, those who are in Southeast Asia, those who are in the developed country, those who are in the Arab nations? So I want to study. I want to study the reality. I want to study the fact, right? So here, the ontology, that means the study of reality, and I need to develop the methodology for my research. When I speak about when I say the methodology, it speaks about how I am going to conduct my research, how I am going to do my research in terms of collecting the data, in terms of analyzing the data, in terms of uh, disseminating the information to the public, how I am going to do. So this speaks about the methodology, the ways of conducting research. So in an introductory note, it is this philosophical foundation of social research going to deal about how I am going to develop the knowledge, how I am going to study the reality, and what methodology I am going to construct to conduct my research, what methodology I am going to use to study my research problem, or to find out the or to meet over the objective of my research. This is what we are going to discuss about the philosophical foundation of social science research. And when you talk about the objective of this particular philosophical foundation, this first one, we evaluate the multiple theoretical perspectives and their role in shaping the methodologies, right? So I want to I want to study the quality of life of uh, elder persons or elderly in living in various countries, right? Who are Indian origin, diaspora community. I want to study the older person's problem, whose daughters or son migrated or to other countries. Now, I need to evaluate the multiple theoretical perspective, which is my first objective, and their role in shaping the methodology. Now, quality of life of older persons. Here, there are a lot of theories. What are the theories I need to? Can anyone guess what are the theories I need to hear for this to study the quality of life of older persons? What are the theories? Uh, what are the areas I need to seek the theory? We may not know the theory, but in what are the areas I need to seek the theory? Quality of life of older persons. Can anyone guess? All right. Uh, for example, quality of life. For quality of life, I need to verify or seek or search for theories which are speaking about quality of life. What are the dimensions that is required to say that a person is having good quality of life? Okay. And who gave the theory? What are the indicators to support the quality of life? Right? So that theory I need to seek. I need to take any or one or two theories to develop my methodology, right? So I need to observe, I need to collect data to various angles to say whether the person is having quality of life or not, right? Then another areas I need to seek for theory is older persons or elderly persons. What are the problems or what are the psychological condition and what are the ailments the older persons will go through at the age of 60 and plus? First of all, I need to have a theoretical background to support who is the elderly person, whether the person is above 60 or whether the person is above 65 or above the person is above 70. What Indian law says or what the WHO World Health Organization says about the elderly person, the age. I need to have a theoretical support to define who is the older person, right? And what are the psychological conditions at the age of 60 and above the person will go through, and what I need to support, and how the quality of life can be linked with that. So this theoretical background, dear learners, we should go through. That is called a philosophical foundation of social research, right? So we need to evaluate. It's a sentence is, if you go through it, we need to evaluate. You just should not just copy and paste it. We need to evaluate multiple theoretical perspectives and their role in shaping methodologies. So in the previous introductory note, we discussed that we need to have the theoretical foundation helps us for ontology, epistemology, and methodology. Clear? So for methodology, we need to develop a multiple theoretical perspective, right? And second one, to analyze how natural sciences influenced social sciences in terms of research methods and approaches. Even though we are social science fraternity, learners or faculties, we cannot totally consider as a separate stream, right? We are also interdisciplinary. We also seek knowledge from science. We also seek knowledge from other social sciences. If you, when we are learning Master of Arts in diaspora community, we need to seek knowledge from sociology. We need to seek knowledge from psychology. We need to seek knowledge from social work to strengthen our own discipline, right? At the same time, we need to also seek knowledge from physics, biology, or any other courses, chemistry or whatsoever, to have a basic knowledge, right? How the how the geographical condition of the US linked with us, the behavior pattern of the people, right? How the political situation influence the social the behavior of the persons in Arab countries, right? To analyze how the natural sciences, especially natural sciences like physics, chemistry, in social science terms of research methods and approaches, right? And to understand philosophical debates that shape social sciences. We debate, okay. Theory allows us to debate. Theory allows us to argue. Theory allows us to discuss, right? So when we say theory, it is a fact. When we say it is fact, it is the fact is as emerged or has been emerged through lot of discussion, lot of argument, and lot of debates, right? You take any theory, for example, if you take a theory called classical conditioning theory given by Ivan Pavlov in psychology, it has a lot of discussion, right? He says, Ivan Pavlov concludes that the behavior can be conditioned. Any behavior can be conditioned. That was he experimented with a dog, and any behavior can be modified with giving the reinforcement, right, or stimulus, right? So that theory has gone through a lot of debates. Today we can discuss that theory with a lot of arguments, whether it is practical. Today can be condition any behavior of the person, right? Will it be effective? So that, to understand the philosophical database debates, okay, that shape social sciences, that will shape social sciences. So other, unlike the other science with the natural sciences like chemistry and all those things, there is no such floor open for debates, not required, because everywhere it is going to be the same, right? If the person in the US, if three persons are able to land on the Mars, if the same technology, the same equipments are being used by the people of India, can land on the Mars, right? So because it's not going to be changed. But here, the social science theories, we need a lot of debate. What Rex says can be debated with Dominico's. Dominico's can debate whether it is can be possible in the countries of Africa, right? I say dowry is a problem in India. Definitely, I am sure Dominico's will not accept dowry is a problem in Africa because it's not a problem there. Alcoholism is not a problem there, but it's a problem in India because we need to understand the philosophical background of the nation, the country, so that we need healthy debates, healthy argument, healthy discussion that will shape social sciences, right? And the objective of philosophical foundation is that to explore epistemology means that how we know, right? Knowledge is all about how. If I ask that question, how, then I'll end up in getting knowledge. As to yesterday, some of you used the term curiosity. I should be curious to develop the knowledge. So if I am very curious, definitely I will ask how. Then that will lead to the knowledge, and that will lead to the discussion, that will build the fact, that will lead to the theory. And what exists? Metaphysics. What exists in relation to research methodologies? That is ontology. What is a reality? Right? What is going on? What is happening? And why it is happening? What is the cause for that? What is the effect for it? Right? So to explore the epistemology, that is to build knowledge, and to the metaphysics, that is what exists. As like natural sciences, what exists. That are the four main objectives of bringing the philosophical foundation into research, right? So I just reiterate on it to evaluate multiple theoretical perspectives in developing the methodologies, to analyze how natural sciences have influenced the social sciences, to have more debate on shaping the social science theories or concepts, and to explore epistemology, that means to develop knowledge, and to and the metaphysics in relation to research methodologies. These are the main objectives when we talk about the uh, philosophical foundation. So, dear learners, we have a when you say philosophical foundation, as we have discussed in last two classes on the block one, it is highly related to this philosophical foundation paper. For example, what theory social sciences have evolved through philosophical debates about reality, knowledge, and truth. The three main traditions are positivism, right? Positivism is by Auguste Comte, the father of sociology, and interpret, and critical theory. Criticize anything. Socrates says, criticize, right? And these three main areas develops the debates and brings the knowledge, truth, and reality into practice. The first tradition, positivism. Social sciences should follow the scientific model and focus on objectivity. We have ample time, we have discussed about objectivity and subjectivity. So that's what Auguste Comte in his theory has clearly stated that the research in social sciences should be more of objectivity in nature than subjectivity. So we should not come with only on personal opinion, personal thought process, then we should more focus on the data driven research, right? Objectivity. Lot of empirical knowledge need to be built so that the theory can be supported, right? Then that is called a positivism. Okay. Interpretivism. Social sciences should focus on subjective experiences uh, and human meanings. Social sciences should focus on subjective experiences. What subjective experiences? When you say subjective experiences means as a personal experience. It is not bias, right? As I have said, taken the theory of probably Karl Marx or classical conditioning theory given by Ivan Pavlov and everything, they put their personal opinion into their theory, right? Apart from the fact, right? Ivan Pavlov says that behavior can be conditioned. Okay, he tested with a dog and he gives his own opinion how it can be, right? With a personal experience. So Karl Marx says that the women can be empowered through political participation, financial independence. Okay, it is not only data driven, but also his personal thought process, right? So, anytime it is not through only the scientific model, but when the research is being done, more of objectivity should be there. Data should support your theory and your personal experience, personal thought process to elevate the findings that you have come across through empirical data. Miss Sophia, you want to say anything? Because you're on your mic, you want to.
No, no, no. I didn't realize my mic was on, sir. Sorry. No.
No, no problem, no problem. I thought you want to uh, answer also. No problem. All right. Then, critical theory. When you talk about the critical theory, the challenge dominant power structure and focuses on social change. Okay, that's called a critical theory, like Karl Marx theory on this class struggle, right? So, critically criticize the society, criticize the current scenario that is going on. When you say critical theory, you analyze it. It is not the simple term we use it sometimes. Don't criticize me, right? It is not a negative term as we feel sometimes. Criticizing is not a negative term at all. We need to be criticized. Okay, any theory need to be criticized. Any a government need to be criticized. Okay, for the healthy growth. So criticize is something that which will promote, which will ensure that my limitations are being settled properly. Okay, so critical theory it is something criticizing on a current scenario or current situation that is going on in order to promote it, in order to solve that problem, right? So the philosophical foundation, the three main traditions that we highly focus on, that is positivism. That means it should be data driven, means that it focus on the objectivity, and interpretivism based on the subjectivity, right? I have my opinion, I have my experience, then I write it. Okay, John Piaget in psychology, because I'm quoting psychology because it there are a lot of theories in it. John Piaget, he demonstrated, he gave the theory on cognitive development or something. He did the experiment with his own sons, right? So operational, then cognitive development. I don't want to go deeper on psychology, but cognitive development he has built. He observed his sons. He has observed his sons for past 15 years. Okay, then he built the cognitive development theory. That means starting from, so how cruel he is, na? Is observing his own sons for several years to understand how the cognitive thought process, right, will develop from stage to stage. So he broke it to 0 to 2 years and 2 to 5 years, or then 6 to 9, and 4 stages he has developed. So that is imperativism, right? Personal research, personal opinion, not exactly, but he put a lot of objectivity into it, but he develops that interpreting his own experience into framing the theory. And critical theory is another one where we need to criticize. Any questions so far if you want to ask? You have any questions? Okay, then we move ahead. Epistemological and metaphysical issues. What is epistemological? Uh, what is your opinion on epistemological? Any answer? It is to build the knowledge. How we are going to develop the knowledge. That's what epistemology is all talking about. Epistemology, epistemology talks about the what is knowledge and how do we know something is true, right? So metaphysics, what is reality? What exists beyond the physical world, right? So these are the two things we need to uh, take from the philosophical foundation. So when you ask about the epistemology and metaphysical issues, so I need through my research, my ultimate aim of any research or anyone's research will be to develop the knowledge. In order to develop the knowledge, I need to know what is the existing knowledge on it. I need to know how do we know something is true? How I know that sun rises in the east? Why it is not in west? Whether sun rises or not. So these questions should be raised, right? Through theoretical background, I will ask these questions. With the existing knowledge, I will ask the questions. So the epistemological thought or epistemological base will help me to raise questions, to seek knowledge, right? And how something is true. Why older persons are having these issues? Why they are getting lot of ailments? Why they are not able to get support from their uh, uh, from their own daughters or sons or their offsprings? Why? So these questions will be asked, and the theory will support us why it is. And if the theory is not sufficient to support us, there we need to start a research to identify why, to add knowledge on the existing research, existing theory. So metaphysics, what is reality? These two terms are even used in pure sciences, right? These two things are very much necessary for social sciences also in order to make our science, makes our research to be more scientific, right? So I need to develop the metaphysics question that are which asks what is reality? What is the conditions of older persons living at home, whose sons and daughters are living abroad, and what exists beyond the physical world? Okay, probably that purely for the uh, pure science. And implication for social research, epistemology and metaphysics determine whether researchers use scientific methods or subjective interpretation, qualitative. Okay, whether the researchers use scientific methods, that epistemology and metaphysics determine. Okay, I hope you understand that we write research proposals and get funded, and we do conduct some research. There are funding agencies in India and abroad which fund for research projects, right? When we are lacking our proposal lacking in metaphysics and epistemology, there is a less chance that we get a funding from the funding organization because it's a base for the any research. Okay, what is a theoretical background? In the simple term, they ask, what is the reality you are bringing into it, right? So for implication of social research, this both it brings the determine the subjective and the objective matters of what we are going to do, right? And the influence of natural science on sociology. What is the natural science is all about? And early sociologists borrowed the methods from natural sciences, like example, experiments, observation, classification. It's all from natural sciences. In chemistry, they will observe. In physics, in laboratory, they will observe. Okay, these terms are from the natural sciences. Experiment, it's in natural science. In physics, they will do experiments. In mathematics, they will do experiments. But do social science use experiments? Do the social science use observation? Do social science use classification? Yes, of course, we use it, right? All disciplines. Take example of psychology. They use all those things. Take the example of sociology. They use any of these two. They do classification. They do observation in the community, right? But how far we are making it scientific? That is very very important, right? If I am not using very scientific, then it is layman's work, right? So how far I am going to use that in a very very scientific manner, so that I need a philosophical foundation, so that we are discussing this paper, so that in research igno has kept very very exactly this as a first blocks. Okay, first few blocks, they are building the very very foundation for research. Okay, we can straight away teach about the methodology, how to develop a methodology, how to collect the data, how to do interview, observation, and all those things. That is an implementation process. But before that, we need to have a theoretical background on research. As a person of research is in a 0 point, how I have to start? Okay, then I need to understand from the base to them. I cannot jump into to conduct a research, take the interview schedule, and go to the respondent and collect data. No, that will not help anyway, right? So we do take some kind of things from the experiments, observation, classification. We have kind of, as I have said, positivism from August Comte and Durkheim, aim to make sociology a science with objective laws. And critique, social reality is too complex for rigid scientific laws. Human society has meanings and interpretation that cannot be fully captured by numbers. That is a critique, right? So when you say objectivity, it is in numbers, right? It goes with the quantitative data, right? You need data. For example, how many of the older persons are having less quality of life? I need to say 40 percentage or 30 percentage. Probably by quantitatively we can say, but what is a critic on that? It is too complex, too rigid scientific laws, right? We cannot say always number them, tell them into numbers. It is very difficult, right? So there is a critic on it. So we need to go on qualitative base also. When you say multiple theoretical perspectives, right? We have symbolic. We have the functionalism. Society functions like a system where all parts work together. Okay, like organs, right? That's what Emil Durkheim, famous sociologist, said. It is society is like an organism, right? Like organs, in each organ of human body should function together. As like society also should function together, even though it has various parts, right? So here, when you say functionalist theory, they say about symbolic interactionism. That means society is constructed through human interactions and meanings. Okay, so when we develop a research methodology, when I am going to seek knowledge, epistemology, I need to consider this theory. Symbolic interactionism. Society is constructed through human interaction and meanings. So if I want to study on tribal community, if I want to study on the women in MG Narega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, or I want to study the older persons whose sons and daughters are abroad. I need to have the theoretical understanding that symbolic society is constructed through human interactions and meanings. They will interact, human will interact, and they have meanings. And postmodernism that challenges the idea of universal truth and embraces multiple realities, right? And each theory provides a different way of understanding society. And conflict theory speaks about society is shaped by power struggles and inequalities. Karl Marx. So theory, it is a base. Theory gives a line where I have to go, where I have to travel. Of course, through your theory, through your research, you can give criticism on the existing theory. You can give criticism on conflict theory. You can give a criticism of functionalism theory. Of course, if you have an evidence to criticize. But whether we are going to support or criticize the theory, that is based on our output, our fact, our data. That is a part. But to guide you, what you have to do on your research, how you have to build a methodology, these theories are helping us a lot. And you have another theory called the grand theory, Marxism, functionalism, positivism, try to explain all societies. Okay. Criticism, they assume society follows fixed laws, ignoring diversity, history, and culture. That is a criticism on theories of critical conflict theories. New approaches focus on local knowledge, different cultural perspectives, and micro level studies. Right now in India, we are very much going in deeper knowledge on Indian knowledge system. Right. So how now the major funding source of a funding source, Indian Council of Social Science Research, funding lot for identifying the Indian knowledge system. What is our epic knowledge? What is our indigenous knowledge on health? What is our indigenous knowledge on language? The knowledge on cultural transmission, what we have. Okay, so they are very much studying on the indigenous knowledge, new approach, right? Local knowledge, right? We have another that the reality, sorry, plurality in social sciences. Okay, so when we talk about the plurality in social science, pluralism means using multiple research approaches instead of just one. Okay, we have two approaches. What are the two approaches? Anyone? Let us make little bit interactive. Any? We discussed already. Anyone say that? What are the two approaches? Can anyone say? Qualitative, quantitative. This class was very much interactive. Last two classes, but now it's probably because of Sunday. All right.
No, sir, this class is a little bit appearing very tough to understand.
Tough, huh? No,
Yes, yes, sir.
very hard for me to hear
No,
it. What
no,
is that?
not like
Then
that.
ask. Okay,
Bas-
okay, understand. Because it's research.
Basically, I mean, I on my part is lacking knowledge actually.
No. Don't say like that. Yeah, I am also lacking in knowledge. No, not an issue. Here, ask question. We will discuss. Okay, ask many questions. We will discuss it. Even I learn from you also sometimes. Right. So it is not when ask question. Bring discussion. Research is discussion. Class is to be discussed. Okay.
Yes.
What two types of research, we approaches, not types of research, approaches to research is one is we discussed earlier, that is qualitative
Yes.
in numbers, in characteristics.
Yes.
Another one is quantitative, which are in numbers. Okay. So pluralism means using multiple research approaches instead of just one. What do you mean by that?
Multiple approaches.
What do you mean by that? That means what? Uh, in your research, how you use multiple approaches? What do you mean by multiple approaches? You have to use both the qualitative approach and quantitative approach
Yes.
in a single research. If you use it, it's called a multiple pluralism. Okay. So pluralism means using multiple research approaches instead of just one. Okay. That is highly possible in social science research than the natural science. Right. Example, combining methods, statistics with qualitative methods, interviews, observation. Importance, pluralism respects complexity and allows researchers to study society in multiple ways. Right? So, we need to accept and enjoy the complexity, difference opinion, right? The same way in research, when you do it in under plural,
So, sir,
yeah.
so any research without, going through, without going through both the quality and quantitative methods, it doesn't count as a plurality.
No, it's not plurality. You
Okay.
need to take different approaches into your method. For example, I want to study the quality of life of older persons, elderly persons.
Yes.
Okay. I have a standardized scale asking them, do you eat 3 meals in a day? Do you have enough money to spend for your day-to-day activities? Do you use your leisure time actively? Do you interact with your children? So these are the question will come yes or no. Yes means one, no means two. Okay, which is
Sir.
purely a quantitative. It is in numbers.
Yes.
Okay, how much you spend per month for your health? So a person will say 5,000, another person will say 3,000, another person will say 1,000 rupees, another person will say no money, another person say that I have insurance. So something like that, right?
Right.
So it is all quantified. That means in numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000, 3,000, 2,000.
Okay.
This is a quantity quantified. I am using only this approach is a single approach. It's
Yes.
not a plurality. Okay. Either
So what we
I
call, sir, yeah, sir, sorry to disturb you.
am okay.
So what we call of that research based on only quantitative research?
It is not. This is not, we are not going to use anywhere. It's a pluralized research or single research. We are not going to use that. The concept is pluralism is using multiple research approaches. Okay. In our title, I will say that quality of life, a research study on quality of life of older persons, right? I'm not going to say there is a pluralized research on something like that. No, I will write it in my methodology. I will write it in my methodology that I have used quantitative method and quality method. There I can use that. It's a pluralism based research, something like that.
So, sir,
Okay.
in any research, we have to use both the methods, isn't it?
They're not necessarily, not necessarily.
Oh.
But if you use it, it will be highly empirical. It is highly welcomed because in social science research, we need to, especially in psychology, especially in sociology, social work, anything. If you use mixed method, we say pluralism or mixed method. Okay, that will be highly relevant. For example, it's the same example. I am taking only qualitative aspect of the research. Okay, that is just I'm observing the older persons how their quality of life. Okay, do they speak? Do they interact with their sibling, old friends? Do they interact with their grandchildren, their children, something like that? I just observe, then it is fully a qualitative method. If I use both the methods, I ask few questions to quantify their quality of life, and I observe them to characterize their quality of life. So if I use both methods, then it's called a mixed method or pluralized method.
Okay, sir.
Right? So it is not necessary for a researcher to use both methods, but that's what I said yesterday. It is not my expertise. Okay,
Sir.
I am expert in quality method, so I use this method. I am very expert in quantitative method. I use no. Your study problem should guide you what method you have to adopt. It is not your expertise,
Okay, sir.
right? Very good. Thank you. Thank you for Mr. Sanjeev to make more
Sir.
interaction.
Sir.
Right. So impact of postmodernism. So the challenges universal theories, right? And promotes diverse perspectives. So what the postmodernism, that is a second concept, rejects the idea of absolute truths and highlights social constructions of reality. Okay, rejects postmodernism rejects the idea of absolute truth in social sciences. It's not absolute truth, right? We cannot say the people under this age group behave such a way only. No, it is not possible. So social constructions of reality. So that reality determine how the person behaves, right? And encourages decentralized, flexible, and context-specific research. What do you mean by decentralized? It is fully localized. Our government is a decentralized government, or Panchayat Raj is a example of decentralized government. When you say decentralized, it's localized. The power is even to the lower person, right? So Panchayat Raj means it is a decentralized government, example of decentralized government, right? When this encourages decentralized, flexible, and context-specific research. So don't go for a rigid methodology. Don't use certain things like rules and regulations should be followed exactly as it is. No, it's not necessary. In social science research, we can go in a flexible way. Okay, we need not to have a kind of this is what that is one. So, example, instead of saying capitalism leads to social inequality everywhere, postmodernism asks how does capitalism affect different cultures differently? Right? You take the two statement is different because, as you said, rejects the idea of absolute truth. The first sentence is the idea of absolute truth. Capitalism leads to social inequality everywhere. It's a statement. It's a statement of the example of absolute truth. Postmodernism asks, how does capitalism affect different cultures differently? Right? So there we need to get into how I have to use the postmodernism impact of postmodernism into my methodology. Right? So when you conclude this particular unit, the study of philosophical foundation helps researchers develop better methodologies. Understanding different perspectives like positivist, interpretivist, and critical, and allows for more comprehensive research. Pluralism, postmodernism encourage context sensitive, diverse, and inclusive social science research. Bring inclusivity. Don't go for more of a rigid method of research. Okay, any doubt in this unit? Okay, we will move to the next unit of this, that is
Sir,
positivism and its.
sir,
Hmm.
sir, if I can,
Sanjay, please.
sir, if I can interpret, say for example,
Okay.
let us take the WhatsApp group of IGNO students with that of the guide or coordinator, whatever it may be, sir. So
Okay.
if my research is to find out the uh, objective of finding one particular issue, like how far or how much interaction is being done between members and the coordinator, right, sir?
Okay.
So, the problem is I am having the quantity method. I mean, I'm having the number of persons registered on the, I mean, added or registered on the group. But when we see the interaction, I hardly find, I mean, very less of interaction with the with each other or with the coordinator. Okay, sir.
Okay.
So, in that process, my objective would be defeated. Am I correct, sir?
Okay. Okay. No. See, your research is to identify how much interaction is between the academic counselor and the learners, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. This is your objective.
Oh,
You cannot say your objective is defeated. See, you should have a hypothesis. You say that there is a high level of interaction between the academic counselor and the learners. Okay.
sir.
Then you are asking data. You are collecting data. Sorry, you are collecting data from the learners.
Yes.
How much time you interact? If you interact, will there be a response?
No, no,
If
sir.
you,
Sir, sorry, sir. I'm not. I mean, collecting any data from the. I mean, learners.
okay.
I'm just. I mean, totally taking the. I mean, numbers with the group itself. I mean, from the group itself. I'm
From the
totally
group.
depend on the group itself.
So the message being texted in the group, whether they
Yes,
are responding.
yes.
Yeah. You can do. You have to quantify it. See, the learners texted thrice. There is no response. The learners texted for that, no response. Only in the morning they are responding. Afternoon they are not responding. So like that, you have to authenticate and quantify it.
Yes.
You get the point?
Quantify angle we can, sir, but if we do as per the qualitative method, then my objective would not be clear. Am I
You cannot
correct,
observe the WhatsApp alone and say that this. Okay, you can do it. You can do it, but the thing is, you cannot what you observe there. Okay, you observe. For example, I am your academic counselor. You are
Yes.
texting me in the group.
Yes.
I am not
Yes.
responding you. Okay. Again, after 2 days, you are texting me. I am responding you. Then some days you are. So this is what happening. Okay. You
Sir.
can say you can conclude that it is not properly responded in the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
Okay. There is lacking in it. You can say it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you said that my objective is defeated. Not like that.
Okay.
Okay. In research, your research question or hypothesis can be proved or cannot be, need not to be proved.
Okay.
Okay. For example, if I have, if I have a doubt that if I have my research question that or hypothesis, older persons are having good quality of life at homes than the old age home. Okay.
Right.
Do you understand my question?
Yes.
Do you understand my hypothesis?
Yes.
Older persons in home are more happier than old age home.
Yes.
This is my hypothesis.
Sir.
This is my doubt. I am collecting data. Then at last I identified that older persons in old age homes are more happier than at homes.
At homes. Yes.
Okay. It doesn't mean it is my hypothesis is disproved.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't mean that my research has failed.
Okay.
Okay, please understand. It doesn't mean that my research has failed or I need to again reframe my hypothesis. I need not to rewrite my hypothesis based on my finding.
Sir.
Earlier, I had a doubt. I collected the data, but my doubt is disproved.
Sir.
Okay, it is just like you are asking question in the classroom. 1 plus 1, you are telling that 3, but the teacher says that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2.
2.
Then 1 plus 1, 3 is disproved.
Sir.
Means that is false. The same way, a researcher's statement, researcher's doubt can be false.
Okay.
Okay, there is nothing wrong in it. There is no error in it.
Sir.
Okay.
Sir.
We as a researchers, we need to understand it's very clear because most of the researchers feels that my hypothesis, my doubt should be proved, need not to be proved.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Sir. Got it.
So
Sir, may I
pause.
come in for a minute, please?
Yes.
Okay,
I
sir.
think Miss Sophia, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Sir, your the example you gave, for example, like if you're doing a survey among old people, how much money you spend on your healthcare, that is
Mm.
qualitative research.
That
Now,
is
if we,
quantitative.
quantitative,
Quantitative.
sorry. So supposing we ask we want to do a survey, we ask old people, okay, what do you wish that you knew when you were in your 40s or 50s? And so it's an open-ended question. People can give whatever answer they want. Will that be considered as a qualitative research? Supposing we ask 50 old people above the age of 60 this question.
What is the
What
question? May I get it? May I get it?
yeah. So, what do you wish you knew when you were 40 years of age, or you had done when you were 40 or 30 years of age? So, we
What
want
do
to
you
learn
wish
from,
we knew? What do you wish
yeah,
you knew?
you knew or you did when you were 40 years of age, so that we
Okay.
can learn from your mistakes or your experience.
Okay.
Will that be a qualitative research?
Yeah, that definitely can be a qualitative.
Okay.
Definitely can be. See, open-ended questions, it is a qualitative method. Okay, it is a in-depth
Okay.
interview. We say it. See, different tool we use it for different approaches of the research. When you say quantitative, it is a one approach of research. It's not a method. It is an approach to research. Method is
Right.
different. When you say qualitative, it's a method approach to research. Okay. Now we are using both. Okay. You are asking some open-ended question,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
This open-ended question, when you say the respondent uh, is descriptively give the answers. It
Yes.
will differ
Yeah.
person to person.
Hmm.
Okay. Even when you ask the question on how much you are spending to your healthcare, even that is also open-ended question. Means
Okay.
a person will say 2000, another person will say 3000, another person will say 4000, another person will say 10,000. It is open-ended. It doesn't
Okay.
mean it's closed-ended.
Hmm.
Okay. Closed-ended, in a sense, you have the only the options to say. Okay. For example, what is your gender?
Hmm. Hmm.
Male, female, transgender. You tick something. Okay.
Okay.
Even what is your age? Now they are telling when you are preparing the interview schedule should be open-ended. You should not keep the age 5 to 10, then 11 to 15, then 16 to 20. No.
Okay.
Make it open-ended. My
Okay.
age is 36. Another person will say 47. Another person will say 37. Don't make them into a kind of close-ended where they can tick.
Okay.
You get the point. So
Yeah.
open-ended or close-ended, it is when it is the question is open. Okay. But your example is very good. When you are asking what you knew about in your age of 40 or 40 plus, then the respondent should give in a very descriptive manner. He cannot close it.
Yeah.
Okay. You make it more open-ended. You put a question how. For example, I'm asking Miss Sophia, what was the movie you watched last time? Then you are telling one movie name.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I am asking how was that movie? You say that it's good. It is closed-ended. You are
Hmm.
closing. Okay. You
Yeah.
are not
Yeah.
descriptively. You are not coming into it. So
Hmm.
it is a matter of the interview researcher. So I asked question. Okay, you said good. Then I am asking again, what made you to feel say good about that movie? Then here you have to
Hmm.
narrate it.
Yeah.
You have no option unless
Hmm.
until you are psychologically disturbed.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, otherwise you say you cannot you go something like that. You say if you are not balanced.
Yeah.
Okay, or
Yeah.
else if a normal person will go ahead and tell something descriptively,
Yes.
which is considered as the open-ended.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
here your question it can be taken into qualitative, but as a researcher you want to make it a quantitative, right? Now you did with the 50 respondents, right? The 50
Yeah.
respondents say in 40s and 50s of age, I watched a lot of movies. Another, this said by your 10 persons. Okay. In 40, 50s age, I took my family outside. I enjoyed because I thought that I have not done it so far. So I took in my 40s to 50. I enjoyed with my family taking around the trip. This said by another 10 persons. So you culminate their answers and break into various classification or various category. So taken to tour, that is 10 people, or taken enjoyed being with the family at home 10%, or I least bother about my family. I thought of earning lot of money, that is another 20%. You segregate and give the number for it. Even though it is
Okay.
very descriptive, you
Hmm.
make it quantity,
Hmm. Hmm.
giving
Okay.
into numbers. Right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
but bringing two approaches is well and good always. But
Okay.
for example, I have given it is not for your question, their opinion will be entirely different. You cannot culminate at all. But I am giving for an example
Hmm.
because you
Hmm.
are asked such a nice question for which is going to be highly qualitative in nature, but
Hmm.
definitely that is be varied. So you need to do a content that is analyzing part. I don't want to put now
Hmm.
itself into it, but it can be a qualitative.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Miss Sophia, for asking, making more interactive. All right. So positivism and its critic. What is it's the theory is being criticized. The thing is, uh, positivism is a philosophical approach that applies scientific methods to study of society. When you say positivism, we need to keep in mind that it's full of objectivity, right? And it's developed by Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte is a father of sociology, right? When I was studying my UG at Bangalore University, and I studied there a professor called what is her name? A bold lady. She was taking sociology for us. Then we discussed about Auguste Comte theory and all those things, and she was explaining about it. And he criticized. He in his theory he said women are having lesser brain than men. That's what in his theory. And she's very that social that teacher was very feminist and women empowered women. And we were discussing on that particular concept, how he can say and what are the circumstances might have made him to say. At last, even though she's teaching sociology, she's a profound scholar on sociology, she never accepted he as a father of sociology. For saying stated that women are having lesser brain than men. In his theory, he has stated. So that is about I just recalled my memories when I was doing my UG. So developed by Auguste Comte, and it's assumed that social reality follows objective laws, just like natural sciences. So we must be more objective in nature. Okay, I don't know what objectivity he has to say that women are having lesser brain. So he emphasizes empirical observation, objectivity, and generalization. What do you mean by generalization? Is to say that uh, our study should be generalized. If I do a study on slums, if I do a study on older persons in apartments in Chennai, I can say that in metropolitan cities of in India, older persons are having similar experiences. That is called a generalization. By studying in Chennai, I should be able to generalize it. That means I should bring a lot of empirical evidence into my study. My study should be theoretically supported. My study should be highly the methodology should be highly scientific to generalize my research. And however, critics emerged as scholars argued that human behavior is complex and shaped by meanings. So we cannot use always the objectivity. It's shaped by meanings, right? Human cannot behave always the same. And uh, the critics also to analyze reflexive sociology and its challenges to positivism, to assess the impact of postmodernism on positivist approaches. So that is which is highly subjectivities when you say postmodernism, to understand the foundation of positivism, its role in sociology, and explored the contribution of Auguste Comte and Emile Durkheim. Right. So these are the challenges or critics into it. And the heroic science and the origin of positivism. When you say that Comte developed positivism as a response to theological and metaphysical explanation. You're right. When you say theological, it is high of religious, right? Religion based. So, which religion was the predominant in that particular culture or particular society or particular nations will be the determining factor of how my research should go on, right? So, three stages of societal development. One is theological stages. So, explanation based on religious beliefs. That's what Auguste Comte brought into societal development. How the society might have been developed. First is a theological stage, and next one is a metaphysical stage. So, abstract philosophical reasoning, right? It is data driven. What is theoretical, right? And positivist stage, knowledge based on scientific observation and empirical data. So you look into the theory and to the reality. He brought very in a very futuristic knowledge, right? Any society can develop the theological stage. Means that from the belief that someone is omnipotent, who is the Alpha and Omega, who shower blessing on us, right? So explanation based on religious beliefs. So you say that if lightning and thunder comes, it is a blessing of God, which we don't know what is thunder and lightning, right? If any fire happens, we say that it is it's a God's curse, something like that. Then we go for metaphysical stage, abstract philosophical reasoning, right? You do this because it will happen. If you don't do this, it will not happen. So abstract philosophical meaning, lot of the between the theology and the pure science. Then you move to positive stage where knowledge based on scientific observation on empirical data, right? Even people now, people will have more theological concept. They won't get evolved to metaphysical stage and they won't evolve to positive stage. And some are in metaphysical stage, some are in positive stage. And Auguste Comte also has developed the 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 uh, he hierarchy. He made a hierarchy for uh, subjects. The he knows that Max is the queen of all the knowledge, and he has also said that Max comes first, and other discipline or science, other sciences comes down. You know why Max is first always? Why the Max is called the queen of all the subject? Or even Auguste Comte says that Max is the highmost uh, the subject. Can anyone say why?
No, sir.
No, because anyone? Okay, because Max is the fully independent subject. Fully independent. It doesn't depend on any other subject. Even physics depends on Max. Chemistry depends on Max. Biology depends on Max. Social science, of course, depends on Max. Even language depends on Max. If you want to say that, take the page number 50, page number 70 is Max, right? Max is the only subject which is fully independent. Fully independent. It doesn't need to get support from any other knowledge system, right? So so that Comte says that it is the highmost subject among all the subjects. So early positivism, Durkheim applied positivist principles of sociology, study social facts and things to external to individuals. Okay, used statistical data to analyze suicide rates and social integration. Emile Durkheim contribution is on suicidal thought, how suicidal thought takes place, right? and that is a theory. How deviation takes place? What is deviation? Why people deviate from the norms and rules and regulation? Okay, so it's overemphasis on objectivity, ignoring individual experiences, right? That's that is a criticism on positivism. It is overemphasis on objectivity, ignoring individual experiences, and consolidation of positivism focus on measurable data, search for general laws in society, and assumption of an objective social reality. Limitation. Critics argued that human society is not as a predictable natural science suggests. Okay, definitely it's not predictable, but we cannot ignore that we need to go little more of objectivity in our research or findings. Otherwise, we will lack in building the fact. We cannot say just something without any evidences, right? So critics positivism ignores human subjectivity, and this we discussed as much as possible. And reflexive sociology and methodological dualism. That is another theory of Golden's reflexive sociology. Researchers should acknowledge their own biases and positions. So in our research, we should acknowledge our biases. No research is truly neutral or objective. That's what reflexive sociology theory says. Giddens structuralism, structuration theory. That means social structure and human agency shape each other, right? Society is not static but constantly being created by human interactions. It develops by human interactions, right? So that's what is a theory is of Gardner says. Okay, so structuration theory talks about the human agency shape each other, like the every human shape and bring development each other in the society, right? And agency and structure the process of structuration. So challenged positivism with his concept of structurations. Individuals are not just passive products of society. They are not just passive, they are active. Okay, so we cannot say they are very passive, just they live and go. Okay, sometimes we say that passive learners, they won't interact in the classroom. They just listen. They won't. They just do come into the class and do listen and go. So this is called passive learners. Active learners do participate, do ask questions, do interact, do a lot of discussion in the during the class. That is the active learners. So individuals in the society are not passive; they are active. They tend to be active. The nature will force them to be active. Okay, so they shape and modify social structures through their actions, right? So that I have said there are some predominant factors like Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, uh, Vincent, the Abraham Lincoln. So the pioneers are able to shape the society as a single individual because they are able to represent the thought process of the many of the individuals in the society. All right. So they shape and modify. Even every individual, you in the family shape and modify. I in the family shape and modify. My wife in the family shape and modify. So everyone in the society, being active member of the society, we will shape. That's what the theory says. So society is a dynamic process rather than a fixed structure. Right? So postmodernist critique main arguments knowledge not absolute be constructed, power and discourse shape what is considered truth, multiple perspectives are needed to understand society. So so we have learned that positivism remains influential but has been modified by interpretive and critical approaches. Modern research balances quantitative and qualitative methods. Critical and postmodernist perspectives continue to challenge the assumption of the objectivity and generalization in social research. So this is what the philosophical foundation in our research. It's very much important to bring the knowledge, existing knowledge, thought process on research, thought process on society, how it will move, and everything is required, needed to develop the metaphysical epistemology and methodologies for our research. So what I am going to take. So there will be critics on positivism. There will be critics on postmodernism, and there will be a critique on structuralist theory. That is apart. But what the theory is trying to emphasize upon, right? Whether that particular thing is necessary for my study, whether I need to take positivist theory, whether I need to take postmodernism theory, whether I need to take structuralist theory, it's up to the problem of research that we have taken for our study. If my research is highly qualitative in nature, I should go for postmodernism. If my research is highly quantitative, then I need to go for positivist theory, right? So based on my research, based on my thing, I can take which is supportive to my research to build the knowledge. Any questions? We will conclude it here for today.
Can you please again tell what is I mean the qualitative, if we want to do research on qualitative manner, what is that word you have?
Postmodernism. Because modernist theory or postmodernism theory helps us to go for qualitative in nature, because it's more stress upon subjectivity, personal experiences. So we
That is
need to go
called
for
postmodern.
postmodernist. You can see the current slide of the third one.
Yes.
The second one.
Modern research balances.
On modern research, and this one, critical and postmodernist perspectives. Postmodernism is more on subjectivity. Okay.
Right.
Any other? Okay, thank you.
Sir, so in any research, the hypothesis can be many. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, hypothesis you should have many hypotheses.
Okay.
Not an issue. You can have multi number of research questions. But if you have more research questions, you have to collect data to support.
Sir.
See, based on your research question, based on your objective of your research questions to be framed. For example, I want to study the behavior pattern of, or the education or educational background of the prisoners arrested under POCSO Act. We want to study the educational background of the prisoners arrested under POCSO Act.
Yes.
Okay. Now your hypothesis should be there is a relationship between education and the offenders under POCSO Act. You get the point?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now you have to test after collecting data from 200 prisoners who are arrested under POCSO Act. They will be studied various. Okay, some might have studied till PhD, some might have studied UG, some might have be the 10th standard, some might have not studied, some might have studied till 5th standard, right? Okay, if those people, those who are studied till 5th standard are high in numbers than those who are studied after UG, PG, then you can say that low education has a high level tendency to crime under the POCSO Act. You have to say. Okay. So for your objective, you need to frame the hypothesis or your research question.
Sir.
Okay, we will discuss it later. We'll discuss later.
Sir, one more, please.
Huh?
One question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what can be the possible hypothesis regarding the socio-economic impact of the farmers displaced from the agricultural fields by passing through a highway?
Okay. Possible hypothesis for this study.
For the study regarding the socio-economic impact of the highway passing through the agricultural fields of the farmers. Those have been displaced from agriculture.
Okay. Right. You have the research questions on it or hypothesis. Do they have the willingness? Okay. What is the level of willingness to give their land for the highway?
Sir, willingness is not in question, please. They have to give. publish the they do the notification and
Yes, there is a
everybody has to-
notification. The government has the authority to take their land.
Correct, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
correct. Am I right? But do they really willing to give that? See, if I force, I have a pen on my pocket, but you have the force, you have the authority to take my pen, but I am holding it. Okay, you are taking it because you have the authority. You are the boss for me. You can take it. But am I happy? Am I willing? That need to be studied. Or am I forced?
true, sir. It's a voluntary forcing.
Or forcing? Okay, that can be. For example, if you don't want to study that, it's fine. But that can be studied. Okay. In displacement, are they properly given the displacement benefit? Or yeah,
They're giving, sir.
then what? Then what you want to study?
So, sir, it's difficult to purchase the land from that land. It's very difficult. Particularly for the small and marginal farmers, they have less area of land. For example,
Okay.
just 1 hectare, and 50% of that is in the highway. The remaining, it's not a viable unit for agriculture. So it's
Okay.
quite a big problem in my state.
Okay. No. Let me please reiterate. What is your study title?
So study type is what is the socio-economic impact? For example, 50% of the land is gone for the highway. They have already taken it and paid for that. That
Okay.
the
Okay.
utilization of that money by a farmer is quite difficult, sir. The person who is in hand in the thousands, once it's given in
Okay.
lakhs, it's difficult for one.
Then, Mr. Gurpreet, you do a kind of a case study. You take 10 or 15 farmers, do a
Sir,
depth case study on them.
true, sir.
Okay. Depth case study from the day one of their giving the land to the government. What are the obstacles they have gone through in terms of when they are replaced? Did they get the job? Okay, are they paid properly? You ask more of open-ended question as Ms. Sophia has inquired and we are discussing. More open-ended question.
Sir,
Record it. Okay, you can take this study as a qualitative in nature,
true, sir.
right? Because the opinion of each farmers will differ.
Sir,
Some might have even happily, some might have not. Okay, after giving the land, maybe there is a miserable condition of their life.
sir.
Okay. So after giving the land, how they utilize that amount is all differ. Okay. If it is highly qualitative, you can have a minimum number of farmers to be studied.
True, sir.
Okay. So go for
Yeah.
a case study. That will be fine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Gurpreet. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend. Thanks for joining, making this more discussion.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.